Doubles and coffee. Good morning. Let me try to break it down simply for you, calmly for you, without emotion, without imps, chimps and pimps. The President, Paula May Weeks, Her Excellency, has broken her silence. Keith Christopher Rowley has been talking quite a lot over the last 4 days. The issue here is quite simply, the President, the office of the President is governed by the Constitution. The actions of the Constitution, which is the law, are clear, make it pellucidly clear what the President can or cannot do in different circumstances. In this case, the President has no discretion whatsoever upon receiving the merit list from the Police Service Commission, duly signed off, and the merit list approved by a majority of the Police Service Commission. Once that list is delivered to Her Excellency, Her Excellency has no choice but to proceed to send notification to the Parliament. Has no choice. She is bound. She has no discretion. In other words, no matter what is in her brain, her heart, her conscience, her emotions, she has no choice. The law says that it is just an automatic function to give it to the Parliament, to notify the Parliament. Anything, any discretion, any choice thereby made after that list has been delivered goes against the Constitution, and therefore the President has breached the Constitution. It requires no more definition, no more discussion, no more. There's a lot more that we could talk about and we could feel about. But the issue here is the rule of law. The Constitution is the law. It is very clear in plain English. The President has no discretion. The President has a duty to deliver to Parliament the duly presented merit list by the majority position of the Police Service Commission after they conducted their work. She has no choice. There is no option. So the President in her statement stated categorically that the list was received by her office on August 11th. And then a few hours later, it was withdrawn. It cannot be withdrawn. Once it has reached the President's office, it is akin to being in the Parliament. She is duty-bound on receipt to deliver it, to notify the Parliament. So it cannot be withdrawn. The President cannot listen or hear or acquiesce to a request to have it withdrawn. Once it is signed, sealed, and delivered, it is there in a lockbox. You have to imagine that it is in a lockbox with 20 combinations and 40 keys, and nobody has it except the Parliament. It must go to the Parliament. So the President exercised some form of discretion to allow someone to withdraw it. Who? Not the Police Service Commission in the majority, because Roger K. Wilsing, Dr. Craig James, and McNish, the other 3 members of the 4-person Police Service Commission, knew nothing about that, said nothing about that, decided nothing about that, and gave no authority so to do, and nor could they give the authority. So neither could Bliss C. Prasad as chairperson. No one had the authority to withdraw, request to withdraw that Police Service Commission merit list, duly, legally signed, sealed, and delivered by the Police Service Commission. Furthermore, the President was not even to hear any request to withdraw, to remove, to edit, to adapt. Once she received that, she was duty-bound. That's it in a nutshell. And once a President fails to do her duty, his or her duty, and fails to follow the Constitution, then that is grounds for removal from office. No more emotion, no imps, pimps, and chimps. That's it. So no amount of obfuscation, asking questions, arrogant tone on the part of the President and the Prime Minister sounding similar talking like as if the population does not deserve to know or does not need to know. Keith Rowley talking about he lost confidence in Gary Griffith. Keith Rowley, you just gave the entire population a reason to totally and forever distrust you. You admitted to a year before having lost confidence in Gary Griffith, and therefore this entire imbroglio starts in your mind, in your heart, in your soul, in your feelings of no confidence of Gary Griffith. And the problem is that you try to do it surreptitiously by interfacing, interfering, and influencing a police service commission chair who had political affiliations. You thought that it could be secret. Is it that you did not want to go into the glare of the parliament, the people's house, to state categorically that you are the one who did not want Gary Griffith? Because you know Kamala Persad-Bissessar and the opposition would ask you, what did Gary do? And this nonsense about FUL licenses, let us be clear that the list was duly approved by the majority of the Police Service Commission before and signed and handed to the president on August 11th, as she said. So therefore, any so-called information about any possible impropriety or rumor or hearsay about FUL licenses came after that. So unfortunately for Rowley and for his two Freako investigators and for the hearsay evidence that was attempted to be put into the place, when Rowley says that it is his job to inform the president, information, what is the definition of information? Information must have substance. Information must be supported by facts. Information must be supported by evidence. Information must be gathered by the authority who has the responsibility so to do. None of these things happened. Rowley weaponized the National Security Council against Gary Griffith because, in his own words, he had lost confidence in Gary Griffith. Why? Why did you lose confidence in Gary Griffith? Because he didn't do exactly as you say. He didn't run up in people's house under the health regulations and illegally arrest and search people's houses. Because he corrected you. So you are beyond correction. You are not a lawyer. You spoke wrong. You talk wrong. You talk hard. You talk loud. But you were wrong. Police could not just come up in my house or in people's house just so without a warrant because of health regulations and COVID-19 and arrest and hand out tickets. That was wrong. Gary Griffith was right. So you lost confidence because the man was right and the man was protecting the citizens and doing the job correctly. Or are there other reasons that you're not telling us why you lost confidence? Does it have to do with any investigation into your friend that you were so critical and so protective of that you shut down an entire industry and brought hardship to over 50,000 citizens one by one, and now it's expanding because of the foreign exchange crunch, that you put your lawyer in charge who knows nothing about energy to ensure that it goes a certain way, that he went against the advice of Senior Counsel Deborah Peake? Is it that investigation wasn't over, or was it other investigations? Why is it that you, Rowley, want to have a police commissioner that you have confidence in? What does that mean? That's why there's a separation of powers, because when there's a despot and a dictator like you, we need institutions to protect the people from the arrogant, dictatorial, oppressive mind of someone like you, Keith Rowley. That's why we have these systems in place. But you lost confidence in Gary Griffith. What about if the people lost confidence in you? Did the teachers back in Tobago in 1969 lose confidence in a teacher who groomed a young girl of school age to have sex with her and impregnated her? Would you lose confidence in a teacher like that? Would you lose confidence in a leader of the opposition who whines on a 17-year-old all over the place in public, a 17-year-old, and then the 17-year-old happens to get a HDC house when that leader of the opposition becomes prime minister? Would someone lose confidence in someone like that? When you're liming and you're best friends and comfortable in the house of the king of the whole house, would it? Should the population lose confidence in a man like that, who's liming with that kind of individual and is so proud that takes pictures in his house? Should we lose confidence in a human being like that? Should we lose confidence in a total abject liar who went into the parliament for an hour and 15 minutes and lied about Emailgate, and now has his attorney general doing the same thing, lying about Kamala Persad-Bissessar and her family receiving renters while he sits in the cabinet and rents out his own building and outfits his own building, and his family rents out hundreds of millions of dollars from the government that he is part and parcel of? What about a misogynist? Do we lose confidence, or are we to have confidence in a misogynist who attacks women and victim blames on people who suffer domestic violence? Should we respect and have confidence in a man who pulls the race card out of his pocket to divide this country more than it ever has been? Should we have respect or lose confidence in someone who rules by pum-pum governance, that when he get pum-pum, they get a walk? Is that what we should have confidence in? Who the hell are you, Rowley, to talk about having confidence? The entire population has no confidence in you. You did not even care, and you tried to surreptitiously impact the merit list of, and therefore the job of the Commissioner of Police, because you were not man enough, you're too coward to come in the parliament and say so that you didn't want Double G because you would have been scrutinized. Well, the scrutiny will continue. The population wanted Gary. Whether you like Gary or not is irrelevant. Gary has an independent job to do to serve this country, to keep people safe, and 71% of the population thought Gary was doing a good job. Not perfect, but trying his best and really working hard. So who are you, Rowley? The people have more confidence in Gary Griffith than you. You who got procurement, you who allow your cabinet, including yourself, to take 210 recusals from decisions that had a conflict of interest and a benefit to members of your family, friends, and business partners. People must have confidence in you. Rowley, who is the imps? I clearly have stated that it's you. Who's a chimp? Are you calling black and brown people chimps? Is that racist? And who is a pimp? The pimp is the man you was liming with, sitting down on the couch rubbing his leg. So you cool yourself there, Rowley, and slow your roll, because you have brought the president into the melee.